I'm Cole Haddon, and this is a trailer for the second season of 5AM StoryTalk. If you're as confused by the 21st century as I am, then I've got good news for you. You've come to the right place. Every week at 5AM StoryTalk, I'm going to be joined by some of the world's biggest artists and intellectuals so that we can try to make sense of what's going on in our culture, where we've been, where we've ended up, and where we're going, all through the lens of art and storytelling. Now, as for who I am, the why are you listening to me right now part? Well, I've been a professional screenwriter, novelist, comic book writer, and more for 20 years now. And I see this podcast as a way to sit down with friends, old and new, to talk about stories in all their forms, but also what's going on in the world, from science to politics to all those other existential threats that vibrate in our minds 24 hours a day in 2025. Where does art and these major issues intersect? How can art help us navigate this apocalypse we find ourselves in? And can we maybe, just maybe, use it to change our world? In Season 2 of 5AM StoryTalk, I'm going to be joined by some amazing guests I hope will help us answer some of these questions, in between educating us, challenging us, sometimes provoking us, but always inspiring us with their work, brilliance, and even resistance. God, guys, I am so excited about this lineup too. It includes filmmakers Kelly Fremon Craig, Scott Derrickson, Radio Silence, Cinco Paul, and the Cairnes Brothers, cyborg anthropologist Amber Case, digital rights activist Lizzie O'Shea, DEI pioneer Karen Horne, screenwriter, author, and podcast host Emily St. James, historian and author Dr. Surekha Davies, and actress and dear friend Erin Cahill, who's going to pop up around the holidays to help me make sense of why Hallmark Christmas movies have become so important to so many. The conversations don't just end when these episodes do, though. Every 5AM StoryTalk interview is accompanied by a bonus ep in which my guests return to discuss, at length, a seminal piece of art from their lives. I like to think of each of these as mini masterclasses, though what they teach you isn't always as obvious as what the subject matter might suggest. You're going to have to become a paid supporter to listen to this bonus material, though. Over at Apple, you can do that easily enough. You can even give the podcast a test drive with a free trial. Elsewhere, head to the show notes to find out the best way to subscribe. I know we're living through some spectacularly scary times. We don't all have the resources for luxuries like podcast subscriptions, but your support really does help make 5AM StoryTalk possible. More audio essays will be coming your way too if you're digging these from me. From instructional and cultural pieces to hopefully help you think about storytelling, craft, and art in general in new ways, to a 4-part Hollywood horror story about the development of my 2014 NBC and Sky TV series Dracula, which starred Jonathan Rhys-Meyers amongst other wonderful actors. It's a cautionary tale for screenwriters about what can happen when all your dreams come true, which is just a cutesy way of describing an experience I wouldn't wish on anybody. But hey, I survived, and maybe you'll learn something from my trauma, or at least you'll get a laugh out of it. Season 2 also sees the introduction of a feature that will show up in the episode listing simply as 5AM Real Talk. Every other week, I'll share a plug that will be more off the cuff and focus on what I'm dealing with or even just enjoying as an artist. From notes to projects I'm struggling with, to films, TV, books, albums, and more that I've loved and think maybe you will too. These will be shortish episodes, but hopefully provide us another way to communicate about what it's like to be an artist trying to create something meaningful in the 21st century. If you subscribe for free to the 5AM StoryTalk newsletter, link in the show notes, you'll get early access to almost everything I'm describing here. Become a paid subscriber there, and you'll also be able to dive into the hundreds of arts and culture articles and educational resources I've published there. There have been some other aesthetic changes to this podcast I want to tell you about too. We have a brand new logo and theme song, which I hope adds to your experience here. The music is composed by my good friend Cairnes Brothers, borrowed from his song Cool City, which is a song I quite literally shaped my podcast's vibe around. Carrie's been a huge supporter of 5AM StoryTalk, and I can't thank him enough for letting me use his work like this. I hope you enjoy Season 2 of 5AM StoryTalk. It'll run from September to December of 2025 before I take a holiday break I'm already looking forward to. Thank you so much for being a part of this conversation about who we are, how we create, and how to become better artists and maybe even human beings.